Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Midwest Plainsman on this Monday evening. And due to we were having some technical difficulties there at the beginning with Restream Link, but we got it all sorted out. So tonight I am joined by my special guest, Shannon Hudson from Texas, singer songwriter and very talented musician, I have to say. So thank you for coming to join me tonight. I do appreciate you.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Thanks for having me.
So now, when I had came across you on Facebook, I was really intrigued because what really gets my attention is music that is being created by independent artists that is original music instead of just doing all covers. So that's what got my attention, and that's the reason why I had asked to have you on the show because I wanted to learn more about what you're doing as a singer songwriter, getting more into your music. So tell us, I know that you had grown up, you were born and raised in Wisconsin, but then you wound up moving south.
Yeah, that's right. So my whole family, both my parents and sets of grandparents are from Oklahoma City, Midwest City, Del City area, and uh, for my dad's job at the time took him to Racine, Wisconsin, which is the corporate headquarters of SC Johnson, which
Oh,
back
yeah.
when I was born was called Johnson's Wax. And when you see those commercials that say a family-owned company, it's not a publicly traded company still to this day. And my dad worked for them for quite a long time. So my older sister and older brother were born in Oklahoma City as well, and we moved to Wisconsin right before I was born. Um, I think we moved to Katy, Texas, which is outside Houston when I was somewhere around 2, but then we moved back to Racine right before I started second grade. So second grade to my through my sophomore year of high school, I lived in Racine, Wisconsin, and I was also born there. And then last couple years of high school, we moved to the Dallas-Fort Worth area in Texas. And
Uh-huh.
I went to college in Southern California and lived in the LA area for 10 years. And but I've been here in Austin, or I'm in the suburbs of Austin for gosh, I think 18 years now. So been around the country, lived in a lot of places, fun times.
Cool. So yeah, I have a feeling that with your music, it takes you to a lot of different places.
Yeah, I'd say that I get very inspired by my surroundings. So it's kind of funny. There's the band I was in with my brother in Southern California, which is called Come and Go. Um, the kind of one proper album that we did. There's a couple of songs that have California in the title. Ironically, those are the songs that have gotten kind of placed in TV and film the most over the years. I think somebody's got like a road trip headed out west sort of scene, and they go, "Ah, we need a kind of California road song," and those kind of fit into that deal. But yeah, even my newest record, which is called Run Into the Arrows, the last song on it is called the Leander Hills, and I live in Leander, Texas, and my backyard kind of looks out over the central Texas hill country.
Ah, gotcha. So I have a feeling that that kind of inspires some of your songs as well with the area that you're living in.
Sure, um, I think a good song, when it's done really well, it kind of has the meaning or sort of the vehicle that's on the surface, which could be, the Leander Hills or the California skies or whatever. And then, if it's working really well, that's just a symbol for some other probably more important things that the song's about. And if it works really well, it can mean a lot of different things to different people depending on when they hear it and what's going on in their life.
Nice. Uh, I was reading your bio, and I know that growing up you had musical influences from classic rock bands.
Yeah, my parents are just love music, and so there's just been music in the house all the time, and they like a lot of different stuff. But I think they're not. I think their favorite music is sort of late 50s, early 60s rock and roll, and you know the Buddy Holly and Richie
Mm,
Valens and the Big Bopper and Elvis and those sort of guys and Eddie Cochran, who not super wide known in the U.S., although a lot of people know him, but humongous in
yeah,
England. Even though he's American and from Oklahoma, he's my mom's cousin. So I actually have a somewhere in a cabinet here, a sort of signed picture of him that says to a cool cousin, you know, Eddie. He tragically died very young. He was 21 or 22 in a car crash in England. But yeah, if you hear a lot of interviews with like Rolling Stones and the Beatles and stuff like that, he was very, very influential. In fact, if you watch the Beatles anthology and a bunch of different Paul McCartney interviews, the first song he played for John Lennon after he saw John Lennon's
mm,
band, the Quarrymen, I think, play a show, and they talked afterwards, and he played 20 Flight Rock by Eddie Cochran for him.
very cool. So, would you say that the music that you're creating does it have a flair of both classic rock and country mix?
Sure, yeah, I think this last record, Run Into the Arrows, it is certainly got it's probably about as country as I go. It's got a lot of country influence to it, but I don't even know if I can write a song where you're not going to hear some sort of influence of early rock and roll to it. And really, if you're writing, you know, if you're playing any sort of backbeat kind of guitar based music, there's going to be some Beatles or some Buddy Holly or you know Elvis tucked in there somewhere. You know, even if you're listening to Nine Inch Nails or something like that, it's there. The stuff, the influence is there
Now we're
somewhere.
getting
You know.
into hard rock, man.
Yeah.
um, so let's see. I guess the next question I was going to ask you here. Um, shoot, I completely lost all train of thought.
I threw you with a Nine Inch Nails reference.
I was saying, yeah, because we're getting into some kind of harder rock. I mean, granted, I know Nine Inch Nails. I've listened to it. Um, but when you first decided to doing what you're doing, uh, had you decided back then that you wanted to write your own stuff instead doing covers?
You know, I probably started uh dabbling in writing my own songs when I was in middle school and maybe even a little before that. And so I have no problem with covers, and sometimes when I play live I'll play, you know, one or two or something like that. But when you know, when I was sort of in college or in my early 20s and I thought, hey, I actually want to dedicate a lot of time to this and do this as much as I can. I just I just had no desire to sit and play a 2-hour show where 90% of the songs weren't my songs. I was doing it more because I thought I had something to say. And I have just to be clear, if you're one of those people that does those 2-hour gigs where they play covers, like more power to you. That's great if that's what. But I was just never in love with that idea. I don't like. I love to sing and play, but I don't love to sing and play that much where I want to play somebody else's songs for 2 straight
Mhm.
hours, you know, and be that and be the background music in that sort of way. Um, uh, and uh, and I think there are people that love doing that stuff, and that's great. I also probably especially if you go back 10, 20 years ago, um, I wasn't a good enough guitarist to play much of anybody else's stuff anyways, except for, the guitar, like the cowboy chord version of
Yeah.
whatever this song was. I think more than anything, I've just always felt like I've had these moments where I had something that I wanted to say or something creative needed to come out, and songs are most of the time the vehicle for that.
Okay. Very cool. All right. So the first video that we're going to watch here, this is Run Into the Arrows. What is the story behind this one?
So it's the title track off the album that I did. This whole album, you'll see a live version, but the album was recorded during COVID, and I can go more into that after we watch the video. But the song itself, I was running a lot. A lot of people during COVID were walking or doing whatever, and I was coming off knee surgery. I was about a year off of knee surgery, right kind of at the beginning of all the stuff and the lockdown, and so I started training for a half marathon. And somewhere in my running, there's these bike lanes in my neighborhood that I run in all the time, and when you run, you want to run towards the traffic so you can see the cars coming at you,
Yep.
which is the opposite direction that a bike lane is. You're supposed to go on a bike. You're supposed to go with traffic on a bike. And so I realized one morning that I was always running into the arrows. Not I wasn't going the direction the arrows were telling me to go. I was running into them. And if you couple that with, I believe, the night before or sometime in the few days prior, I'd been watching this TV show where these Vikings are trying to storm the city of Paris, and
Oh.
the
Mm-hmm.
archers in the city of Paris are just sitting up in this tower, just nailing them with arrows over and over again, and they were just not intimidated and just went, well, we'll just keep coming. Um, and
Yep. That was
so,
on Viking. Mm-hmm.
yeah, and so that's
See
kind
that
of the
episode.
yeah, exactly. And so that's kind of the like I said before, the physical vehicle of all of it. But what I think that the song's really more about um, what true bravery is and what true strength is. And to me, uh, a lot of people, I think of strength as being brash and bold and over the top. But to me, being truly brave is being authentic. And sometimes that means you're emotionally vulnerable, and you're real, and
Yep.
you're willing to do that in front of people and in front of others for the sake of goodness. And I think that was mostly what I was trying to convey, is the people who are doing that are really the people who are running into the arrows and with their bravery.
Yep. I would agree. And staying true to yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. This is called Run Into the Arrows.
I always run into the arrow, spill my blood right on the road. They tear through my weak flesh and tear through my soul. The battle surrounds me. The balance is hard to find, but I'd rather see it's heading my way than me looking behind. So show me a world that's stoic and cold, I always run into the arrow, spill my blood right on the road. They tear through my weak flesh and tear through my soul. The battle surrounds me. The balance is hard to find, but I'd rather see it's heading my way than be looking behind. We'll run head first in and knock down, get up again. Head down, it's closer to the fire. Firework in the morning sky. You take your foot on, store it away. It'll never sing or tell the story half as well. It's blowing up right here and right now. I always run into the arrows, spill my blood right on the road. They tear through my weak flesh and tear through my soul. The battle surrounds me. The balance is hard to find, but I'd rather see it's heading my way than be looking behind. The battle surrounds me. The balance, it's hard to find, but I'd rather see what's heading my way than be looking behind.
Really good video there, Shannon.
Thanks. You could probably tell where I filmed it.
Yep, sure can. That's for darn sure. Yeah, that's when a singer-songwriter decides to stay true to themselves, write music that reflects their own experiences, their travels, what they've been through. I believe that's what resonates with people who really enjoy it.
Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I think it's easier said than done. to harness those moments where you are going through life and you see a little bit of truth in something, and
Hmm.
and and turn it into, some sort of creation. And the older I get and the busier I get, the less time I sort of have for it. So I've gotten a little bit more economical with my time and doing it, and I've gotten better at doing it in shorter amounts of time as well. But yeah, I mean, I'll say that my favorite artists and the ones that tend to speak to me are probably exactly what you just described. And sometimes somebody will go, "Oh, hey, you have to listen to this person." And I'll listen to it, and it will be everything about it will be good. The singer's voice will be great, and the playing will be great. And um, but there's just there's kind of like an authenticity, or even like a sort of brokenness, or whatever it is that just isn't there. And so I'll be like, I get it, it's good, but I'm not gonna listen to it multiple times. But it's those artists and those songs where there's something where you can really tell that this meant something to them, and they're trying to get this across to you. That those are the things that usually catch me.
Yep, I get that. I I totally get it. Um, and there's just something about it that uh, can't really put my finger on it at the moment, but yeah, it's when you get an artist that is listening to somebody else's track and they find either commonality or something that they may have also experienced, so it hits with them as well. Um, but when you're listening to something that is just totally off base, that basically the listener kind of loses interest because it doesn't make sense to them.
Yeah.
That's I see that happen, which is unfortunate with some of the bigger bands. Uh, but when it comes right down to a singer songwriter who writes music and stays true to themselves, that's what the people who listen to you are going to really enjoy.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more.
Okay, now this next one that we're going to be playing, nothing to drink on a Friday night.
Yeah, so I guess before I go into that specific song, if it's okay with you, I'll tell you just a little bit about the making of the whole record.
Yep.
Um, so my wife is also a singer-songwriter, and we had booked time to go into a studio here in Austin uh, in March of 2020. That was the first time I was going to kind of go into a proper studio in probably over 10 years at that point. Um, and we get about a week before we're supposed to go in, and sure enough, stuff all over the country starts closing down. And and I call them to see, like, hey, what's going to happen here. And I've got my reservations about getting into a room with, eight strangers, and hanging out with them in a enclosed area for I think we had 4 days booked, or 3 or 4 days booked. And so I called them, and the guy goes, "Oh, hey, I'm glad you called. We accidentally double booked you guys. And so can you move it to this other time?" And I was like, "Well, hey, if it's all the same to you, we're just going to cancel." So I didn't, lose any money on it or anything like that. And after a little bit of time, and when the realization sunk in that nobody was going to go anywhere anytime soon, uh, I have some friends that are professional musicians and producers and stuff like that, and I have a friend in Nashville, named Dave Tuff, who teaches at Belmont University, teaches audio engineering. But he's an amazing producer, engineer. He's an amazing musician. I've known him for a really long time. Um, and I normally don't like love asking people for favors, but I was like, hey, nobody's touring. Like no musician on the planet's touring anymore. So you don't happen to know, people with home studio setups. Maybe I could do this virtually, where just, the drummer sort of records his part at his place and we kind of share it. The bass player does his thing and so on and so forth. And he was like, "Oh yeah, man, I have spreadsheets of musicians. Just send me your demos and I'll tell you who to contact." And so he sent me a drummer and a bass player and a guitarist, and I got in touch with them, and sure enough, they started sending me tracks and Nothing to Drink on a Friday Night. I decided I'm going to do one song start to finish and just see what the end product is. And if it comes out good enough, then maybe I'll do a whole record. But you kind of don't know how the end's going to come out until you do the whole thing.
Yep.
So Nothing to Drink on the Friday Night was the first song that I did. Can't remember exactly why I chose that one, but um, and and all the parts just came out great that these guys were sending me. And we get about 3 songs in, and for whatever reason, I'm like, I should Google these guys. Because I bet they have some credits to their name. And come to find out, these Wes Little is on the drums, and John Conley's on the guitar and a bunch of other instruments on the record. And it's come to find out these guys just have credits a mile long. And
Oh
John
yeah, even I
Conley,
know John Conley, man.
yeah, he's the Kenny Chesney's lead guitarist when he's touring, and an amazing producer, multi-instrumentalist. And I was just a couple of months ago, I was watching Beyonce singing at the first Obama inauguration, and she's singing their sort of dance, and she's singing at last, the time has come. And Wes Little is the drummer drumming for Beyonce at the inaugural ball, and I'm like, that guy is the drummer on my record. So it was a lot of fun recording it and making it over a couple years. I'll say as well. There are a couple songs, not this one, that on the record that have pedal steel on it. And COVID was weird times, and my favorite pedal steel guitarist on the planet is John Graboff, who used to play with Ryan Adams and the Cardinals, if you know those records. And
Mhm.
I just reached out to him on social media and kind of was like, "Hey, I don't want to waste your time, but I got a couple songs done. I got a couple songs I love your pedal steel playing, and if here's kind of what I can afford." And he was so gracious and so great, and he ends up playing pedal steel on a couple of songs on the record. So it's just really, really cool experience. And yeah, Nothing to Drink on a Friday Night. Um, the kind of idea I had for that is just somebody who's a recovering addict in some way, shape, or form. And the 3 different verses are kind of 3 different people in 3 different situations that are dealing with that struggle, where they're an addict but they're clean. And it's the life that goes around you when you've made a change in your own life,
Mhm.
and you and sort of I think the things that are normal to everybody else are sort of new to you, and maybe even a struggle for you when they're not a struggle for everyone else. And that's kind of what this song's about.
Cool. All right. Nothing to drink on a Friday night. Yep.
The crowd is thinning and headed out. The show is over without a doubt. And I'll make morning if I just hang tight. Nothing to drink on a Friday night. Nothing to drink on a Friday night. Well, all the girls are getting high, the jeans and heels, and days pass by. I pray to God that I get things right. Nothing to drink on a Friday night, nothing to drink on a Friday night. Well, the band's all saying it's okay. I start to think it's the only way. But I can't feel it grate my soul as I start to lose my self-control. The wedding bells have come and gone. The party goers all sing their songs. I steal the frame and stay out of sight. Nothing to drink on a Friday night, nothing to drink on a Friday night. Well, the band's all saying it's okay. I start to think it's the only way. Well, I can't feel it grate my soul as I start to lose my self-control. On pouring down, I start to slip on the steady ground. I check the locks, turn out the lights. Nothing to drink on a Friday night, nothing to drink on a Friday night, nothing to drink on a Friday night. Nothing to drink on a Friday night.
That was a good one. And
thank you.
I can actually imagine a full backing on that song.
Yeah, on the record, there's a full band behind all these. So, yeah. Good, it's good, and you can listen to the record on Spotify or wherever you stream stuff, or if you're a vinyl person, got vinyl copies of it as well.
Cool. Yeah, back when COVID had hit and we were several weeks into it, several of the musicians and bands who I was interviewing at the time, all of them were chomping at the bit, wanting to keep out there, be on and get on the stage, but knew that they couldn't do it. So there were several bands that they wound up, in fact, there was one band in particular that good friends of mine, they wound up basically shooting video or doing a live video session in each of their own homes, and they synced everything together very nicely, and they executed the entire video very well. So yeah, I know exactly what you were talking about with having musicians playing in their own homes and syncing everything together.
Yep. Yeah. I'll say for the album recording, everybody was kind of doing it on their own, and we're doing what's called overdubbing, where I'd play what are called scratch tracks. So I'd have like a drum part and a bass part and an acoustic guitar part and a vocal that we weren't going to keep any of them, but they were all on beat, and the tempo was right. And so he'd sort of send that to Wes, the drummer, and he'd probably just mute the drums and not even listen to what I did, hopefully. And then he would record the drums to that, and then you could kind of mute all of it except for the real drums, and so everybody now is playing to Wes's groove, and so then you do the bass, you do the guitars or any other instruments. And I would tend to, I think on that whole record, I did the vocals completely last on all of it because you kind of want to hear everything that's going on.
Hmm. I completely understand that one. Well, I I have enjoyed this, and I'm looking forward to hearing more music from you. Definitely gonna be keeping in contact with you, and I appreciate you taking time out to come join me tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm in the middle of right now recording about 30 songs that I'm not sure when they're going to start releasing, but when they start, it's going to be uh, three, maybe four albums worth of stuff that's going to be coming out. Maybe as soon as this summer, it'll start coming out. So a lot more to come.
Yeah, a buddy of mine who is a guitarist. While let's see, while it was during, or was it right after COVID? Uh, he had wound up he wound up writing 4 albums during COVID. And as soon as COVID was over, he was trying to release everything on one shot. I'm like, dude, are you nuts?
Mine'll be a slow burn. Mine's more I'm knocking all these out and then I think they'll get released little by little.
Uh, I don't know if you've ever heard of him or not, but I'm hoping that you would run into him. His He is well known on as a very well known guitarist, Brian Henke. Uh,
I don't think I know that name,
yeah,
but
he
if he's
has
played on a
mas-
bunch of stuff, I've probably heard a bunch of stuff he's played on.
he has mastered the art of fingertip guitar.
Mm.
He is just excellent at what he does. But when he told me that, yeah, during that time he wrote 4 albums, and he was trying to he's trying to put together every single one of them all in the same shot. I'm like, Brian, are you nuts? That's just
Yeah,
that's torture.
it's a lot for people to handle. Yeah, I've got oh, I haven't counted. I probably have 14, 15 that are completely done and the other 15 are pretty close, just a handful of things on the end, but like I said, they'll probably release TBD, probably a song at a time, and then over maybe a song every month or 6 weeks or so.
Cool. All right. Well, I thank you for taking time out and to join me tonight. I've had fun. I'll be keeping in touch with you and look forward to hearing some more music coming from you.
All right. Thanks so much for having me.
You are very welcome. And if anybody out there want to get in contact with Shannon, uh, I've got his website posted down here on the bottom, shannonhudson.com, where you can get in touch with him. You can find some of his music on there. And yeah, you'll also be able to find him on Facebook as well, Shannon Hudson Music. And be sure to take a listen to more of his music. If you have questions for me directly, you can contact me at the Midwest Plainsman at Gmail. Otherwise, I'm going to say pleasant journeys, everyone. We're going to be out of here for the night. Thank you for joining me. And tomorrow morning, 10 a.m., will be the Wild Horses Band. So stay tuned for that. Have a good one. We're going to be out of here for the night.